All right, so now let's talk about borders. Borders are such that if we have a block element, which this one happens to be, our figure is a block element, so we can put a border around it. So I could do something like border right, and I can specify just the right border, and I'm going to give it 3 values. One would be how thick do I want that border? In other words, 5 pixels would be thicker than 2 pixels. So how thick will it be? Also what color, and it doesn't matter which order you put these particular 3 attributes in, or excuse me, values in, as long as you have them. And then there is, I'll just pull this over, there is various types. And so these are some of those values that you can see. This is right off of W3 Schools, dotted, dash, solid, double, groove. So you can play with these different values. And maybe this one I'll just do as a solid. Where was I here? And so we'll do a solid and see what that looks like. So it's going around. We have just a 5 pixel, oops, lost something there on the right hand side, 5 pixel solid. And I don't have a color, so it just defaulted to black. So let's do something else just to see that it's working. There we go. We could also just do a single one on the bottom, maybe, border, bottom. We'll make it smaller, 2 pixels. Maybe I'll make this one a double. And we'll try it with orange, or let's do gray, and then see what that looks like. So it's hard to see, but you can see that that's a double line, so it's just giving it a little different flair. Now I'm going to do this. You can do border and not define a bottom, right, left, or top, but by doing that you're applying the border to everything. So I'm going to do a green dotted, maybe 2 pixels. And when I save that, what you're going to see is that, let's make these a little bigger so you can see them. And so what you're going to see is, remember, things are rendered in the order that they're read. And so the right and the bottom got overwritten because this border says top, right, left, and bottom. So it overwrote the right and the bottom. So if I put this one on top, let's just see what happens. Then you can see that these 2 styles are therefore overwriting what was applied here in the border. So just in case things don't work out the way you expect, that's why. Remember that the right and the bottom are conflicting, and so they were read last, and so therefore overwrite what was set in the border setting. So that's pretty straightforward. So that's borders. So now I want to create a gradiated background. And I really want to create it out of these colors that I've already created here with Stitch, and I like that color scheme. So one tool that I can use is Photoshop. So what I might do is I might do something like, snipping tool, and I'm going to use my snipping tool, and I'm going to get a snippet of Stitch, and all I want to do is I'm going to utilize Photoshop in order to decide what my colors are, meaning that this is now in my clipboard. So if I create a new image in Photoshop, and it's going to create it off of the image that's in the clipboard, which is automatically happened when I did snipping tool, and I'm going to choose create. It takes a few minutes, but that should come up. Put this on pause while it's coming up. All right, so here's my blank image. The image is still sitting in the clipboard, so I'm going to use my keyboard, Control V, to paste it into this image. Oops, I lost in my snipping tool, so let me do that again. Snipping tool, and I'm going to choose New and get a piece of my Stitch, and then I should be able to paste it in here. There we go. And all I'm really interested in right now is getting the colors. And so utilizing Photoshop, I'm just going to use these little color swatches down here. In other words, I can click on the foreground color, which is currently defaulting to black. And let's see, I'm interested in what this color purple is, and I'm going to write that down so I remember what that purple is. And then I'm going to click on OK. And that color is preserved for me here. And I'm going to set the background color, and I think this is good to have. So I'm going to set that color, so now I know what the foreground color is of Stitch. And so let's see, I'm going to push this to the side for the moment. And my background, I'm just going to comment this out. Control / automatically comments things out. And I'm going to do a background linear gradient. And we're going to use those two colors that we just found out in Photoshop. So the top color was this hex value, so I'm going to use that. And I'm going to put that background gradient here, Control V, comma, and then I'll get the other one, which, let's see, where is that? So I'm going to cancel that one, and I'm going to grab the hex value of the other one, which was this number. So I'm going to copy that and cancel, and I'm going to put that in here. And let's see what we get. So now we're getting a gradiated color based on those colors that I just selected from Stitch. So you can also maybe change the direction. So I'm going to go to right and save that. And now you'll see that that's getting a little nicer gradient sideways rather than up and down. You could also do circle gradient. Let's see, radial. I said circular, radial. Had to look that up real quick. And apparently I didn't do it right. Oh, look, I've got an error. Background, null colors. 2 is not a color. So I guess we don't do that. So this is good to have a checker here. And now we can see a radial gradient. So gradient is another option to explore and look at all the different possibilities of things you can do with gradients.